Galloway's presents Tech Talk at 3. Fitness Coach by Jumpy Cat.
So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Tech Talk at 3. It's Andrew, your assistive tech coordinator from Galloway's, and really pleased to be joined this afternoon by Silvia from Jumpy Cat, which is an accessible fitness app that you can download to your iPhone on iOS. And it's great to have you with us, Silvia. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Andrew. It's great to be here.
Really looking forward to hearing more about the app, and I know that you had some coverage recently on RNIB's Tech Talk show, which a lot of our listeners this afternoon do listen to, so they may well have heard you on there as well. I've had a little look at the app. I find it really interesting to see how you put it together, and more so how you've gone to lengths to make it accessible for blind and partially sighted people with the audio described content. So over to you.
Thank you, Andrew. I thought that I would start by basically talking a little bit about the story behind the app and my background and the background of my partner, who couldn't be here today because of prior work appointments. So it'll be just me for this session. But I think that will be enough. I talk quite a lot, so that should be plenty. And so I would like to walk you through that. And I think that towards the end, we can have an actual little demo of the app with voiceover, where we can see what kind of things it can do for you. And I hope that everyone will be inspired to give it a try, even if you are not into fitness per se, or have not been exercising for a long time, that maybe you will consider giving the app a try and giving some of the exercises a try, even if you're a complete beginner.
You might even want to give it a go, today while you're doing the demo. We can all join in.
Why not? Why not?
Brilliant.
It's audience's choice. We can totally do that. Yeah.
Okay, we do like to participate in these groups, so you may get that.
Right, I'm totally open to that. Yes, we can do that together. I'll choose an easy one. So basically, my background is not actually in technology. By background, I was in my former life a psychologist, and my specialty was human motivation. So how do people get motivated to do things, to set goals, to create habits? How can we motivate ourselves to have good habits, like exercising or eating healthy food, or learning a new language, or reading every day, or other useful things that might not be the most pleasant activities in the beginning, but as we go over time, they can be very useful for our physical health, for our mental health, for our relationships, and so on. So this was my area of specialization, so to speak, and specifically on what we call the growth mindset. And I find that I don't know how many of you have heard about the growth mindset. It's actually a bit of a misnomer, because the idea behind the growth mindset is not that you're constantly growing, let alone your brain or your mind or anything like that. It's more about this idea that when you meet something in your life, some circumstance or some outcome or some event or some person that is not very pleasant for you, or that you feel like could be perceived as a failure, that instead of saying, hey, this is the end, I mean, it's over, like I'll never do this again, or I'll never meet this person again or talk to them again, but you'll kind of think more along the lines of, okay, that happens, I'm not sure what this means, but I'll give it another try. So it's a bit of what I prefer to call a flexibility mindset. And so this flexibility mindset means that events or negative outcomes or anything like that is not what we call global and defining you forever and ever. It's more of a temporary setback, or just something that just happens. There are so many circumstances that lead to it, that you just accept it and move on, learn from it, hopefully, and move on. So basically, having this background I moved into technology specifically into product management. The kind of psychology that I was involved in was dealing with social interactions. So it's called social psychology. So it deals not only with personality traits, but also with how people interact with each other and so on and so forth. And in this kind of psychology, basically, it is very applicable to how technology products have been developed in the past decade or a couple of decades. The way that we build technology nowadays for people is very similar to the way that we are studying how people interact with each other. So in some sense, technology is supposed to be enriching people, their daily lives, also their social interactions, their relationships, and so on and so forth. We start with basically with creating a setting. So for example, it could be technology that helps you to exercise or keep a diet. And then it has certain features or allows people to do certain things. And by observing how people do these things and people themselves by giving feedback, the product and the technology can be basically improved over time. New things can be added, things that are useless or somehow are not creating a good experience can be removed and so on. So this is the way research in psychology is done. And this is the way that technology is in practice done. So basically, the idea behind Jumpy Cat was not an idea that came up overnight or anything like that. In fact, I was working at the time in my at Microsoft for the Bing search engine, and here in London, and my fiance, who was then my boyfriend, now fiance, had a unfortunate accident when he was running, and he basically, we didn't know what was happening in the beginning, but then at the end it turned out that it's a serious knee injury that required surgery, and we didn't even know that there were injuries like this. We're generally quite active people, and we had never had any serious injuries before, so this was quite a shock. We were about to go on our holiday. This was last year, the year before that. We were about to go on our holiday, on our winter holiday actually. So this was just after New Year's, and we started asking the doctors, hey, what's the forecast? Can the surgery be done soon? How long is it going to take to recover, and so on? And yeah, I guess we were both pretty optimistic about it, having never experienced and having never been humbled by the fragility of an injury, as simple as that. So we realized that actually we won't be able to go on our holiday, and this was the list of our problems. And it turned out to be the beginning of a very, very long and difficult recovery process for him and for me, as basically someone who was there to support him. So we're both working in technology for quite a big chunk of our lives, and this requires, as you can imagine, sitting and coding all day long on computers. And even though we have been trying to be active, it's definitely not like we're working a physical job or like we're professional athletes or anything like that. So it was a challenge to figure out the way for him, for my partner, to stay active, not only for the activity itself, but basically for the motivation. He started sharing with me that if I don't walk, because he had to use crutches for most of the time for the beginning few months, he just started feeling that if he didn't walk, he didn't feel like walking after some time. It was just not something that it naturally came to him anymore, even though before he was, generally he was quite a big walker and enjoying taking walks all the time and so on. So it was, yeah, we were very surprised at also the psychological changes that went along with this recovery process. And we decided that we're going to learn from it, from this experience, and that we're going to basically, against all odds, maybe to try to beat the doctor's prognosis and to use what we knew about technology, and me about psychology and motivation to create some kind of regimen or routine or a helper, a companion that could help with this recovery process. So the most important thing was to be able, from our point of view, being busy at work and having this this setup where motivation and accountability, showing up and doing a bit of exercise every day and just reminding yourself that it's very important, however little it is, for the recovery process, and also just to keep sane in a way, right? So from that perspective, it had to be something super simple. It had to be a product or a solution where the technology is going to offload most of the thinking, most of the planning, and you could just say, okay, this is my time today to do these exercises or to move around a little bit. Maybe you do a break every few hours while you're sitting on the computer, or do it on your own terms. But basically, the technology of the solution had to be there at your fingertips, so to speak. It had to be something super simple that everyone could use and that could be used even if you're very busy, so that there is the least amount of effort that you have to put into starting the actual exercising. So the only effort that we thought he should have to put is into doing the exercises themselves. So I started researching. We both researched around. Obviously, he was visiting physiotherapy extensively at that time, and obviously also, I don't know if any of you guys have experienced it, but physiotherapy is not enough. There is a lot of demand for it, especially because it was winter, and a lot of people had gone skiing. There was so much demand for physiotherapy, it just seasonally, but not only because of that. Just in general, more people get into sports, more people get injuries. So I think demand has been increasing over the past few years, and so this was not enough. So definitely we needed this, even if it was just to repeat the exercises that he got to do in the physiotherapy. And we started very simply with just having something like a spreadsheet, which could be a reference for him to look up and basically get different workouts every time, or just a slight variation, or just to have a notebook or a log of sorts where he could also log whether he did it and how many times per day and so on. So this is how it started. And over time, since I have been specializing in artificial intelligence products, I struck upon the idea that this could be more automated, and it could be, maybe done for other people to benefit from, that it could be some technology that could be shared and more helpful for other situations, not only for his personal recovery. And this is how we got the idea, and we started doing this basically in our free time. Whenever we had time, we would do this, and we would combine publicly available data. We created an algorithm that basically can create these workouts. So it's much more sophisticated right now than what it started with. But the idea behind this has always been that it had to be very accessible to everyone, and it had to be very inclusive in terms of not promoting a specific body image or a specific lifestyle. Rather, we thought that it could be just something simple that people feel safe with, to give fitness a try, or give exercising a try, or just to stay active, maybe when they don't feel like being very social, they don't feel like going to the gym, or they don't feel like having a group session or anything like that. Just something that maybe is very good to do on your own, when that feels most comfortable for you, in the comfort of your home, or in the park, or whenever you want, wherever and whenever you want. So So yeah, this is basically the origin of Jumpy Cat, and um, the name has nothing to do with fitness except for the fact that we are both big cat fans. I mean, we're animal fans, but we do have a cat who is. People with cats will probably relate that, you know, as humans we're more of a servants to the cats than the other way around. And so it's just a playful name that we thought we, you know, could impart that with Jumpy Cat we want to make this experience something simple and fun, not something like an obligation that, you know, that is this, you know, or achievement oriented or anything like that. So I would like to talk a little bit more about the actual technical work that went into this, and the basically the applicability of the app to the blind and low vision community. So when we were designing the app, when I was designing the app, so the design is mostly mine. It's mostly mine. I'm taking care of the design side of things and basically the flow of your user experience as you go into the app. The idea was to make it super simple, really, really simple, not pretty, not with no eye candy, no bells and whistles so much, but just simple to the extent that as simple as possible while keeping it also usable, so easy to use. So not oversimplified, just simple enough that it's easy to use. And we'll demonstrate later, and obviously whether we manage to achieve that or not, that will be your call, and I would love to hear your feedback. A lot of people have been saying that that's the case, so that's encouraging, and I hope that this stays the case, that we keep adding more features, which we're currently doing. The excuse me. So the backbone of the app is this simple interface on the front, which users can control. So the users basically people who want to use the app to create the workout. You just go in and you select a few preferences on what feels good for you to do that day. So for example, you can select how long the workout should be, for anything from 10 to 60 minutes, so a full hour. This always includes the warm-up and the cool-down. So there's always a warm-up and a cool-down that are proportionate to the duration of the total workout. So for example, if you're doing a 10-minute workout, it's going to be just a couple of minutes in the beginning for warming up with a few easier exercises, and a couple of minutes in the end. But there's always going to be a warm-up and a cool-down, because we would like to promote safe exercising. So it's much safer to have a warm-up and a cool-down. And from personal experience, I know that if you go on YouTube or anything like that and you try to look for workouts, oftentimes they don't include that. So you need to search for a warm-up or a cool-down on your own. And that it's much more complex to plan ahead for all of that. So with Jumpy Cat, you don't need to worry about that. It's all taken care of. So whatever duration you see, that's the total duration that your workout is going to take. Unless you select the option, which a lot of our blind and low vision users prefer. And we added this actually in response to feedback from them. Unless you select the detailed instructions. So the detailed instructions are something that we added because people were saying that if they're beginners, or just if they're, just they prefer to have more instructions on what each exercise involves and to have a kind of some time between exercises, then this is the option that is good for you. So what this will do is every time a new exercise comes up in the workout, there'll be a pause when the instructor is going to give you very detailed instructions how to do the exercise. So how to position yourself on the floor or otherwise, which muscles you need to activate, for example, how you can make the exercise easier or more difficult if you feel that it's difficult. And basically, I recommend using this option even if you're not completely new to exercising, but if you are maybe suspecting that you're not doing some exercises correctly, or that you might just want more detailed tips on what is the best form to do the exercise. So that can be very useful. Obviously, then the workout is going to take a little bit more time than the total duration. So if you're planning for that, I recommend planning for a bit more time. We're going to, right now, this option can be found in the menu before you start the workout, but we plan to also add it within the workout. So that will be even more easy to control, even to switch on and off even during the workout. So the other options that you can choose, and there's a lot of options. So I just recently added more explanations for that, but I'm sure that still there, you might have questions, and we're constantly looking to add more explanation to that. I just encourage you in general to explore the app. There is no action that you can take on the app that is going to destroy your phone or anything like that. Everything is very user-friendly. So I encourage you to just grab it, explore it, and just play around with it. There is really nothing that you can do wrong. I've made sure of that. So with the comfort of your home, just give it a try. So the other options that we've got there are, in addition to the duration, are the type of workout. So the type of workout is related to the duration. We have quick sessions that are 10 to 15 minutes, which we call pick-me-ups. Then we have the actual quick session, which is a little bit longer, up to 30 minutes. And then we have a full session that goes up to a whole hour. And finally, probably the people who have more experience with fitness will recognize this. For days when you are not actively exercising, or you just feel like maybe just using exercise more to boost your mood versus to get really sweaty, we have what we call active recovery. So you can do that kind of those workouts on days when you feel a bit sore from previous days, or you just like a lighter session. So these are, again, I've added some information there so that when you browse around, the voiceover will read the complete option for you. So there is that information. And there'll be even more information in the future so that you can reference it, because I understand that obviously these are not official definitions or anything like that. So it takes some getting used to learn which option is what and what you prefer. So the other options are a little bit more obvious. The body area that you can target. So we have things like options like full body. We have options like upper body, which is basically your arms, chest, shoulders, and so on. Then we have core, which is the abs area. Then we have lower body, which is the legs, and so on. So you can target, basically the workout that you choose will be targeted on these specific areas, which doesn't mean that all the exercises are going to necessarily be, for example, if you choose something like upper body, you're not going to be doing push-ups all the time. So no worries there. It's still going to have variety, because a lot of exercises obviously are going to be good for your entire body. So then we go on to another interesting option, which is the option to choose your difficulty. And this goes from 1 to 5. So it's, as you can see, there's a lot of variety. And 1 doesn't mean that, we define it as light workouts, and 5, we define it as beast, which, that involves more like exercises that are not necessarily hard to do, more than the technique for them can be hard to do. So that's one thing that is good to know, that if you feel like, I would advise people to just progress very gradually, and to give themselves kind of a little bit of leeway by doing something easier rather than something more difficult, because with more difficult exercises, it's very easy to do them wrong, and it's very easy to get injured, or even if you don't get injured, just your body learns the incorrect way of doing it. So your muscles, the way that they get activated, the muscular patterns, actually, once your body learns it, it's very difficult to unlearn. It's a bit like having a bad gait, or something like that. If you had it as a child, maybe you need to go to the doctors for them to correct your gait. So it's something like that. And so I would advise not to try Beast from the first time. It's quite difficult, actually. However, for example, even if you usually exercise with level 3, it's totally fine to try level 1 or 2 when you're feeling a little bit tired, or maybe you just don't feel like having such a hard workout or anything like that. So it's not so much a level that the level does not mean that does not reflect your personal progress, versus it reflects what you feel like during that specific day. So this app allows you to do that. You can be a beginner one day, you can be a little bit more advanced the other day. So definitely feel free to explore whatever works for you. So the style is another thing that I think is great for personalizing the workout, because you can do a lot of different types of fitness basically with only one app. So, for example, we have workouts that we call quiet workouts that don't require any jumping, and these are great if you live in an apartment building, and your neighbors are not super happy. Your downstairs neighbors would not be very happy if you exercise, just jumping around. And also, we have other options that are just nice for people who have had an injury or are recovering, or just prefer not to put too much pressure on their joints. We call that knee friendly. So with knee friendly ones, you are going to have a nice workout that doesn't strain your knees. Then we have things like cardio, where obviously it's going to be a little bit more of a jumping routine, where you're going to get a bit more of cardio activity. We have things for balance and coordination, that some of the exercises are sound super simple, but if you listen to the instructions very carefully, you will see that they're incredibly hard to do. They sound so simple, but they're incredibly hard to do. Like, I had this one where you need to lie down on your side, on top of your arm. So you lie down sideways in a completely kind of like a plank position, so your body's super straight. And that one is so incredibly hard. It sounds so simple, and it's so incredibly hard. It really, like, you can't stay in this position for more than 2 seconds without toppling, forward or backward. It's unbelievable. So it's quite fun to do. And a lot of these are still very safe. So as long as you do it on some soft surface, there is no, like, you're not doing something like acrobatics or calisthenics or anything like that. They're very, very friendly, user friendly, and all body weight exercises. So the only thing you're going to require is something like a mat or carpet, some soft surface, especially if you have sensitive knees. Maybe you want to grab a towel to put under the knee or something like that. But that's basically it. And so this is the style option that you can choose. So right now we have more than 10 different ones. So I told you about some of them. Again, they kind of are self-explanatory. So for example, balance and coordination. But again, it's good if you try exploring them, because once you start the workout, it's very easy to just close it off and go change the option and start a new one. So once you've selected the final option, actually, that I wanted to mention is something that I personally use very, very often, and it's called repetitions per exercise, or reps per exercise. We used to call it variety, because basically it does produce workouts with different variety. And the thing is that when you do exercise regularly, some people start to get really bored with them. And so this variety option gives you control over that. So for example, you can design your own workout that has fewer or more repetitions of a certain exercise. So, for example, when you would like to strengthen your muscles, we recommend doing something with more repetitions, because basically your body gets really strong exercising in a certain range of motion, with a certain movement, in a certain plane in space. So that is very good to strengthen muscles and also to learn exercises. If you're feeling like just having more fun and would like time to fly by faster, it's better to use fewer repetitions, because psychologically it feels much faster if you just get the exercises changed more frequently. We even have an option for no repeated exercises, which basically means that it'll give you a new exercise every time. So that's quite fun to do, actually. So the way that it works is that once you select all of these options, from all of these options, you just press a button. So I described it quite long, but in reality, the menu is much simpler because I was just talking in a lot of detail. So it basically takes maybe 5 to 10 seconds to select the options, especially once you learn what is what. And then you just click on Design My Workout. And our algorithm is basically going to use all the knowledge, all the information and data that we have fed it, and produce a workout, the full length workout with video and audio for you. So that basically you have nothing more to take care of. You can start right away. That's all it takes. There's no registration of any accounts. There is no, any fancy settings that you need to do. It's just that. So it will give you an intermediate screen where you can just confirm what the workout is going to be. So that is different from your settings. This basically tells you what the algorithm has composed for you. And this is where it's good to check whether it makes sense for you. And if you don't like it, you can just click the X and exit and create another workout, for example, with a different option. So what it will tell you right now is how long an exercise takes. So, for example, there are different what we call paces of exercise, which means that how you can do the exercise for a certain amount of time and then rest for a certain amount of time. So, for example, if we say it's a Tabata style, then it is 20 seconds exercising, 10 seconds rest. And then you start over again, maybe with the same exercise, maybe with a different one. So basically, as you can imagine, this makes it either faster or slower. It can make it also easier for you, depending on whether you prefer to go faster or slower. So this pace is something that you can check what it produced for you and decide whether you like that. It's usually influenced by whether you select something like cardio. For things that are cardio, you're going to be getting generally less time to rest, versus if you select something like endurance, where you might be doing an exercise for 90 seconds, for example, and then it will give you maybe half a minute to rest between the exercise intervals. And then it's going to also tell you kind of in summary, hey, this is, today's workout is going to be, the workout that you selected is going to be a full body workout that is for balance and coordination. And it's going to last 20 minutes. So again, you can kind of confirm what you have already selected and also see a bit about what the workout is going to involve. In the future, this is where we would also like to add an actual list of the exercises for a very quick preview. This is a feature that a lot of people have requested, but we haven't gotten around to it yet. So this screen is kind of just containing more of a summary right now. And from here on, if you proceed, basically, it's just going to start the workout. Basically, it's going to pause it in the beginning, so you'll need to start it with the play button, but this is the last step. At any point, you can exit. Like if it doesn't sound good, if you don't like the exercises or anything like that, just, you can just exit and go back and select a new option. So one of the slightly annoying things right now that we're going to, again, to modify that is that whenever you create a workout, it's going to automatically add it to your completed workouts. Basically, that's the second tab where you can get your history. So you can keep track of, for example, every week, whether you did 2 or 3 or 5 workouts or something like that. It's basically per week. So you can easily see each week whether you hit your goal of how many workouts. And right now, so all of these new workouts that you start are going to complete it automatically. So if you do this a lot, you might want to go there and basically click on it and delete it. But that's super easy. It's really just one click. We'll make it nicer in the future though. So once you start the workout, you get the instructions that you selected are the basic ones, or the more detailed guidance, and that's it. It's just you just prepare. You have your setup ready, and just go for it. So right now, one of the most requested features that we had is to actually add some music to this. And we're considering doing that for the future. And I'm still quite hesitant about it because I have been asking everyone, and the feedback that people have been giving me is very diverse. Some people prefer the workouts to be, as minimal as possible in terms of the voice. So they prefer to add their own music because they have their favorite playlist, or they just have a certain style of music that is very, personal. And so that's why I'm hesitant, because some people prefer music that we select for them and some people might not. So I'm really not sure how to go forward. I'm still gathering feedback. So if you give the app a try, please let me know what you prefer, because I'm trying to gauge basically what makes sense for us to do, because we'd like to create the best, a nice experience with the app. But also, we don't want to put time and effort into something that only half the people or even less are going to use, and maybe they're even going to hate, because it will turn out that my music choices are not what they like. So yeah, let me talk a little bit more about the accessibility of the app. So one of the things that we found, the app right now is only for iOS. So it's for Apple devices, both for the iPhone and for iPad. It works quite well. It was very easy to do this with iOS. Basically, all I needed to do is just not make it fancy and be aware of accessibility, and test it with accessibility and make sure that I get feedback from people who needed accessibility options. So in terms of that, I was very pleasantly, so because I've only recently learned iOS development, I was very pleasantly surprised by this. And I'm really glad that Apple did such a good job with, probably years ago, they started developing this, and they've been improving on it, and it seems to be working really well out of the box. So they've made our jobs as engineers, as creators, really easy. I think that it's just that a lot of apps are trying to look quite nice, also in terms of from a design point of view, and oftentimes that involves having fancy icons or other custom design. And basically, this is where things seem to be breaking, and this is the temptation that, as a designer, I had to resist. For me, it was not such a temptation because I'm generally a very minimalistic person. So I think that, beauty is found in function, not so much in form, as we call it in the design world. So in terms of the navigation, basically all we had to do is just leave it simple, and VoiceOver basically works most of the time with it. With iOS 14, we had a bit of a hiccup because things were breaking with some of the preliminary operating system versions that they released. But in the end, we didn't spend as long to fix it as we expected. So that worked out great. So it's fully functional on iOS 14. I don't know how many of you are running on that. but we have tested it extensively and there are no issues with that. So if you are on iOS 14 and are hesitating about this, I just like to tell you that that's not the problem. Everything works fine. So Android is a slightly different case, just because there are a lot of ways to implement accessibility. So I'm still researching and learning how best to do it. And this is why our Android app is still in the works. Hopefully we're going to be releasing it very soon. There's a lot of people who have asked me for the Android version. So definitely I know that that there's quite some demand for having an Android version. We are aware of that and we are working on it. It's just that with only 2 people, and also, you know, maintaining and adding features to the iOS app and just improving things at the same time, it's just takes longer than, you know, if we were a bigger company. So that's the only constraint basically, is our, you know, physical capacity as humans, so to speak. In terms of the actual accessibility of the workouts, so the voice guidance and, you know, like I said, we did improve it based on feedback from users, but from the very beginning, we considered that the app should just have a very immersive experience, an experience that is as similar as possible to what you would get from a personal trainer, obviously without the costs and without the, you know, the hassle to actually find the right person and schedule it with them. So something like a standardized, comfortable experience is what we were looking at. So basically by aiming for this from the beginning, envisioning this from the beginning, it turned out that our architecture and that our, you know, our creation can work for a variety of people, including, you know, people in the blind and low vision community. And in the future, we hope that it's also going to be, you know, for deaf people when we add subtitles, that maybe we can explore. So it's also kid friendly, with the simple navigation and so on. Maybe, I don't know, maybe kids need a little bit more of, you know, as what we call eye candy. So, you know, nice images and a little bit more interactivity. But it's definitely kid friendly as it is. You know, for seniors as well, we would like to be senior friendly as well. So basically, we're not necessarily targeting certain communities more than we would like to get feedback from as many diverse people as possible, so that we can make sure that we add features that have an influence in a positive way to the biggest number of people possible, so that we can actually offer Jumpy Cat as a fitness resource to everyone, to stay active, you know, and just feel the benefits of staying active, even a little bit, every week, you know, for their physical and mental health. So might be time to take some questions if you'd like to do that.
No problem.
Hi,
Okay.
Shirley, it's John here.
Hi.
Asking about dietary to do with, you know, nutrition, if you need to have any special dietary when you do your exercises.
Yeah, that's a good question. So in general, this is with our app, there are some apps where you can get nutritional advice. With this one, there are no options really about that. So this is simply about creating your exercises on the go. It doesn't have any information about nutrition. There are some good apps out there though that you could use as, you know, just on the side. So definitely that's a great question, and it goes without saying that for a healthy lifestyle, you probably want to have both of those.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely a good question. Have we got any more questions from anyone?
Hello, I've got a question. Key here.
Okay.
Yes.
Does the app need the internet connection at all time to play the video?
Right. Yes. Right now, that's a great question. Right now, actually, it does. We're working to have an offline option, but it's quite tricky because of the data requirements. So this will mean that it kind of, you know, downloads it on your device, and then we need to delete it afterwards and so on, because otherwise it will take up too much space on your device. right? If you just do a few of those, because so basically right now it works like a streaming. So your question is great, because it actually does require an internet connection. This is something good to mention, and also to be aware of. Don't use your data plan with this unless you have unlimited data, because obviously you will use your data for. So preferably you should use a Wi-Fi connection.
Maybe if it's like a favorite workout that you've done that
Sure,
you
yeah.
could save that particular video that
Yes.
it's put together for you. Maybe
Mhm.
that might be a good way of doing it. Maybe.
Yes, so that option does exist. So currently you can do that. So every workout that you have completed, you can just replay it. So yeah,
Okay.
that'll
Okay,
work.
cool. So then
However,
it might be a download button then, mightn't it, on that particular workout? Then that might work quite well in the future. Cool.
right, it still might require internet connectivity, also because there's technically speaking, we are confirming basically with our server. So you're sending a request to our server. So sometimes the certificates need to be checked against, or it might require internet connectivity just to check that the workout is not corrupt, that nothing is missing as we have updated the content over time or anything like that. So it's good to have an internet connection without it. Otherwise, you might get an error.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Okie dokie.
Is there a charge for that? For the app?
So you can download the app for free, and a lot of the workouts are completely free. So if you go through the options, there are only a few advanced options that probably, if you're just starting with the app, you're not going to need to use them. Even without those options, you can do thousands of workouts, literally thousands of workouts, completely for free. If you click on an option that is paid, it's going to warn you and it's going to offer you to pay. So there's no chance that you are going to accidentally pay. That won't happen. It's definitely going to show you that it's a paid option, and it will ask you, and it will kind of walk you through what you get for payment. The payment is if someone, like most of the people obviously are using the app for free. Some people are paying for it who are more into fitness and would like to have those advanced options, or would just like to support us. It's not a huge amount. It's $1.99 per month. And in the future, we're going to also add even cheaper options for an annual subscription or multi-annual and so on. So as well as free trials. It's just that, again, this needs some coding, so we haven't gotten around to it.
Thank you.
It's likely not to be free in the future then. You mentioned about the subscription. Are you planning to make it completely chargeable in the future?
No, that will never happen. There'll always be a lot of workouts that are for free. Our idea is for this to be a resource that everyone can afford. And basically, in order to make it more inclusive and accessible for everyone, this includes the financial aspect of it. So definitely we want to keep as many free options as possible, even going into the future.
Excellent. Yeah, that's really good. And it sounds like, to create an app like this, you've got to have a lot of passion for for this type of facility that's and it's actually going to help a lot of people out there as well. So there's a balance, I suppose, between making money with an app or actually providing a resource for people. And I think you're obviously trying to balance that.
Yeah, that's a great comment, actually. And to be completely honest, we're struggling with the balance as well. The way that the app stores work nowadays is that most of the companies that are on the app stores are actually pretty big companies that are that are paying for advertisements, and we are right now basically using our savings to subsidize the infrastructure and the other costs that we have that are associated with the app, including obviously our time, which is an indirect way that we donate to the app. What I wanted to mention is that I think maybe not everyone is aware is that we did try to run ads on the Apple Store, and they're incredibly expensive. Even though I did work at Bing and in the search engine, and we did have. I have worked directly with the ads team, and I have worked on ad serving and so on. I was shocked at the prices. Basically, it goes something like maybe £5 per click. And by click, I don't mean that this person is going to install the app. It means that for every 10 people who click, you get one person installing the app. So this means that basically you have to pay something like £50 for someone to install your app. There is no, sorry.
Good gracious, it's a lot.
It is. Yeah.
It is crazy. Yeah.
I suppose you got to think
James
of.
has got his hand up.
Go for it, James.
Yeah, a couple of questions, Silvia. I've been listening while I've been at work, and I did get a phone call, so excuse me if you've already mentioned this, but are the exercises, are they all audio described? So for example, if you were doing a squat, say stand up straight, feet shoulder width apart and all that lot.
Yeah.
Are they all described like that?
Right, that's exactly what you're going to get, and even more than what you said, with the detailed instructions. With the basic instructions, it's going to be more like only the drill, what we call the drill. So it's going to tell you, we're doing this exercise. This is the halfway. So this you have 10 more seconds left. The next exercise is going to be this, and then it's going to give you little tips. So for example, if you'd like to make it easier, put your feet closer together, something like that. This is the basic one. The detailed one is what you said. So basically, before every exercise, you are going to hear the complete description of how to do the exercise.
Okay. All right. Second question was, you mentioned about music. Would it be possible to put something within the app where you could, within the app, create your own playlist from music that's stored on your device, on your own device? Would that be an option?
That's an interesting idea. Yes. So one thing that I've been looking at is for people who have, so this is again talking only about the Apple world, for people who have iTunes or Apple Music, I believe, and I'm just currently looking into this because I recently learned about it, there is a way to play your Apple Music in other apps. And I think there is a similar arrangement that can be made with Spotify. I'm not sure how it's going to work for music on the device.
Okay.
That's definitely something that, I'm going to, like, now that you mention it, I'm definitely going to consider this option as well. And we're going to look into it.
Okay.
Basically, so if it's technically feasible, basically, because there are a lot of restrictions, especially on the iPhone, on iOS devices, about what apps can do with other apps or with the user's data. So sometimes it's not even our choice. So
I was just thinking, because if you provided the music, you'd have to have a massive music license, and it cost you a fortune for that, wouldn't it, to be able to play the music via the app for every click and things like that. So
actually, I was thinking that maybe I could give you a short demo, because could be worth more than my words for you to actually get an idea.
I would have thought, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've got to have the right kind of music anyway for exercise, isn't it? You've got to have the matching music suitable for the exercise. Right.
So the question here is also, obviously to find, how do you find the music? Because you need to have contracts with musicians and things like that. And that becomes very complicated. We have zero experience there. But also, if one person likes listening to rap music during their workout, another person likes listening to pop music, another person likes listening to something else. So how do we do that? Basically we have to almost have, something like Spotify within our app, so that people can. So that's why I was very intrigued by, I think, by James's idea that yes, this could make sense if you can just create your own playlist, or somehow use your playlist from your device or from somewhere else to do it.
Yeah.
Should we do a quick demo then?
Absolutely, yeah, that'd be great. Let's have a little listen to how it works.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to hear actually choosing of the options, or should we just go into an actual workout? I think we can go into a workout, and then what we probably will do
is look at the app in more detail in one of our Tuesday sessions, and you're welcome to come and join us again, to come and do a bit more demonstration on it. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Could we
All
have
right.
a demonstration with the detailed instructions on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My cat's just come in the house, which is quite funny.
They're coming to work out.
She may come on the screen. I was on a meeting this morning, and she decided to walk on my laptop keyboard in front of my and everybody got to see her.
Raise squats. Instructions. Start from a narrow stance. Breathe out, push your butt behind you, then bend your knees to lower into a squat. Still in the squat, slowly lift your heels off the ground as high as you can. Hold, then inhale and lower your heels back down. Raise your hips back to standing. Let's start with our warm-up. First one's calf raise squats.
So that's those instructions for those ones. And,
just a bit
there you
longer.
go.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So it's telling you how long you've got left to go.
Yeah, so it will tell you if you need to switch to the other side for exercises like...
Last seconds. Tabletop bridges. Instructions. Start by sitting on the ground, with your knees bent and your feet flat on the ground. Place your straight hands next to your body, palms facing down and fingers pointed forward. Breathing out, push your hips up by squeezing your glutes and straightening your arms. Keep your knees bent. Inhale to lower your body down to sitting. Tabletop bridges. To make it harder, keep your legs close together. That was for our warm-up. Now let's jump straight into our workout. We're starting off with lying leg raises toes down. Lying leg raises toes down. Instructions. Lie down on your side, legs stacked on top of each other. Point the toes of your top leg down by turning your hip inwards. Exhale and slowly lift that leg as high as you can. Breathe in to lower your leg down. Lying leg raises toes down.
Okay, yeah. So you get all the instructions.
Keep your core braced and stay in control of the motion the whole time.
Yeah, so it'll give you quite detailed instructions. And I was just going to say that actually we're working on adding more options for even more details. So if you want to hear all the tips or anything like that. And so if you'd like music right now, as you can tell, so it might, I don't even know if, like, I haven't tested it. The only way that I have used it is with having my music in the background from another device. And so that's why we're exploring the music option in such detail, because we want to know if it won't be breaking the actual voice instructions. So that's quite an important point, whether it's going to, we have to be able to control, how when you watch a movie and it's like the music of the movie is so much louder than the voices of the actors, and how annoying it is. And that's basically, I'm not a specialist in audio engineering, but I know that this requires basically setting the correct volume, or I'm not even sure what it's called, for different different channels, so to speak, right?
It would need it would need to be done like sat nav in a car, wouldn't it? So when your instructions come on, it lowers the volume of the music. So something like that would work.
Yeah, something like that. It has to be something fancy like that, because otherwise it will be, but if you have the detailed instructions, this means it's going to do it all the time. So I'm not really sure in practice if this is not going to be super annoying, right?
I think getting your music on another device and like your hi-fi or another device that you might have in the home is kind of like maybe do that. That might be a way of doing it as well, because.
Or I mean, once you get used to it, you could maybe leave the music off until you get used to the instructions, get used to the exercises, and then you don't need the verbal so much, and then you could have the music.
Yeah.
I Are we going to have options to be able to change the voice from, say, female? Because listening to that, I got hearing aids, and I actually found that quite hard. I kept missing bits. That female with the voice that you've picked.
Yeah, usually male voices are easier for people with hearing impairments because they have a lower frequency.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, there were bits of that instruction where I got completely lost just following that tiny little bit.
Yeah, I think also there's the quality of like over Zoom. I have listened to it, like I have done workouts with people with the app where they play the workout on their side, and I know it can be, it doesn't sound good at all over Zoom. So in person it sounds better. But yeah, this feedback is point well taken. We definitely are looking to add more options also, accented options. So for people who prefer, for example, a British accent or an Australian accent. So we're looking into adding those options as well.
Yeah. So we'll definitely think about the gender thing as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the great thing about coming today. I think as well is that it's you can get some really valuable feedback from our gang here today, which is great.
We're all very expert.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really good. We'll take a couple more questions, and then we can. The thing is, Silvia, it'll be great to get you on here again, and when you develop the app more in the future, and then we can find out if people have been using it, and where you've got it to in a couple, 6 months time. It may even be more developed as well. Yeah.
And the Android option too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. That's coming soon.
Tracy's an Android user. Yeah, that's right.
Although my work mobile is iOS. Actually.
James is an Android user as well. No, it is complicated, isn't it? Doing it for for both systems. Has anybody else got any more questions you want to ask?
Yeah. Have you noticed an uptake, a huge uptake in the number of people using your app since the start of lockdown? Where people can't go to the gym because
it's a good question.
Restrictions.
So we released it actually sometime in July. So it hasn't, it hasn't really been tested in the lockdown period. I guess, as it seems, its test is going to come now. I don't know what's going to happen, crossing fingers that we don't get it, but with all the indications that it might be its first maiden journey during lockdown.
Yeah, because we're getting some restrictions. In fact, London has just been going to be putting more restrictions very soon. They're going into
Yeah. Of course, Liverpool's in the third tier. It's in the very high, and Lancashire and Greater Manchester are teetering.
It shows the importance of apps like this for people.
Yeah.
Being if you feel isolated and you can't get out and you can't go and exercise in a gym, and I mean some of the best exercises. Or if you're having to
self-isolate. I got contacted by Track and Trace, so this last 2 weeks I've been having to self-isolate because I had a contact with somebody who was positive.
But it's great.
Like Andrew said, apps like this are great, especially now with like physical and mental health apps and things like that. Definitely the way to go at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely recommend, this is what I personally do, especially after a long day at work on the computer, and you just feel like you need to air your head. I don't know how to describe it, and you can't go out, or maybe you just feel super tired. It's just it's just so easy to go into the app, select the easiest of all options, select something quick, like 10 or 15 minutes, and it refreshes you so much. I find just to stretch a little bit, just to move your body at your own pace. You don't have to, that's the good thing about doing it alone or doing it at home, or you could even do it over Zoom with a friend if you prefer. But a lot of people do prefer, including myself, I often prefer to exercise or just to stay active on my own. It's one of the benefits is that, there's nobody's watching you. You can do whatever you want. You don't like an exercise, you can just move around and just shrug your shoulders a little bit, skip that one, just keep on going, and or just completely close the workout, try a different one. It's literally, you can do it in minutes. So there's no reason not to try. I strongly encourage everyone in the gang to give it a go, to see what actually it feels like. And this is this actually can probably be the best feedback also that you can give me, because it's very different when you look at it and when you browse through it and when you actually experience it. Because when you experience it, you will feel, for example, maybe that it's too fast for you, maybe it's too slow, maybe something is annoying that you didn't notice before. So this kind of feedback is what would be really, really something that I would really appreciate, because what works for me might not work for someone else, and I can't put myself in someone else's shoes to this extent. So this is why your feedback would be so valuable. So please do give it a shot. Don't be shy. It's like nobody's watching. It's like your own time. It's like your own little adventure with staying active, stepping your feet around a little bit. So
we
please
can't
try.
get the neighbours to look in the window then.
What I liked about it was that it was showing that you're doing the stuff outside instead of either a blank background or in a gym or something. It's actually showing outside, which is a big thing that I'm a big advocate of doing exercise outside. You don't need any equipment. You don't need this, that, or another. You can use equipment that's already out there, like a park bench or some railings and things like that to help you do a squat or a lunge or anything like that. Make use of what there is outdoors.
And you can do you're using your own body weight for a lot of the exercises, which is useful as well. And I tell you what, for me, I mean, to sum this up, we talk about the music side of things and using music alongside exercise. And I have found myself that using a lot of mainstream platforms and even a gym that I'm a member of, they put a lot of stuff out when we went into COVID lockdown. But a lot of it was just exercise to music. So I couldn't access any of it because I couldn't see what they were doing. So it's kind of, we haven't got the music at the moment, but we're getting a lot of what we need. So is that compromise for us, or compromise for me being visually impaired? If I'm going to get the audio description side of things and not the music, then I'll find a way of putting the music in, or, eventually, Silvia, you'll find a way of doing it. But I think it's great that there's something out there that we can use that is accessible, because it frustrates me when, there've been a couple of exercises I've been able to do from my gym, but then a lot of them have just been high-powered exercises with just music, and that's it. So it makes it really difficult to be able to get involved. So it's a really good development, and we really thank you for joining us today, Silvia. It's been great having you come and talk on the Tech Talk at 3. And I just want to thank you on behalf of Galloway's and everyone today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really a very fun experience, and I hope that it was fun for you too.
Absolutely, and we'll get you back on here again. You can come on again when you've got some more developments in the pipeline, and we'll definitely, on our Tuesday session, which is called the Talking Tech Social, which we do every Tuesday between 3 and 5, there's no doubt that we'll get this app out and we'll look at it in more detail, and people will have more questions as well. And you're very welcome to come and join us on one of those Tuesday sessions whenever you'd like to.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you very much, Silvia.
Thank you, Silvia. Brilliant.
Thanks, everyone.
Great work.